Good evening, good evening, good evening. So this evening, for our tips and dip, the main focus for me, I was praying, good evening, Lady B. After I was praying about Lord, what can I what can I say today? And so from the talks that we've had, the conversations that we had the other evenings, um, something came to mind, and I'm going to share my screen here because I want to be able to minister to the needs of the group that I'm dealing with. So, I always want to customize. Y'all let me know if you can see this.
Good evening. Yes, we can.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, thank you. So, um, what is so if I go, let's see, I'm gonna try to see if I can go to the PowerPoint itself so it's not showing there we go. All right. So what I with the majority of us either being over 40, um, I was sent this today, actually this morning. I was like, that's it, Lord. It is never too late to reinvent yourself. Start a new career at 40, fall in love at 50, learn to dance at 60, start a whole new life at 70. Stop saying you can't. You can and you should. Dreams don't have an expiration date. And so Nada was just saying that she's on another conference call. Um, so then the next thing that came to me, I was in meditation this morning, I read this. So it is with my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it. Isaiah 55:11. I love numbers. So having that double number there is beautiful. 55, 11, 5511. um, and so when I think about this and I think about where we are at this point and how the enemy would love, and even our frenemy, which would be ourselves, because we can be, excuse me, both a friend to ourselves and an enemy to ourselves, how we can tell ourselves, no, it's too late at this point in your life, you can't do. And so we'll step off into something, we'll try something new, but we won't give it our all. We'll make all kind of excuses, and in our minds we'll tell ourselves, well, at this particular point in life, I should be more laid back, and I can't really do as much as others can because they've got their youth, but you have your wisdom. And so if we deal with what we said on last night, on the day two, I believe it was, of it, or maybe it was day three. I don't know. I'm losing my days. But anyway, if we deal with our potential and not our history of what has been, then we know that we can forever reinvent ourselves. We can ever become that next thing, go to that next level. So life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. We must get to a point where we say, you know what? I am alive again. I am ready. It doesn't matter what else happens. I'm ready for this new venture. I'm ready for this new place in my life. And and tell ourselves good evening, good evening, good evening. And tell ourselves that and continually let that be a part of our meditation. Let that be in that background of what stands behind us of saying, I am a new creature. And each day I'm a new creature. Each day I have the opportunity to live again and live abundantly. So I want to share this with you real quick. There's two little caveats here that I thought were just beautiful and and inappropriate for what I'm sharing this evening. Let me see. For some, I think this is a screen. Is this the right screen? Y'all forgive me. Nope, that's not the right screen. Let me go back. Let's see. Let me stop the share. Find the right screen. I apologize. I thought I already had it set so that it would pop up and show exactly what I wanted to show at the right time. Okay, here we go. Let me share again. And Charity, when this plays, believe you me, I have not, I haven't forgotten about you. I have you in mind too. I've got something for you. All right, so let's check this out. Minute 44 seconds.
A lot of people hit their 50s and 60s and hit a wall. They get laid off, or they've been doing the same thing for 30 years, they're burned out, or they retire and they find they're bored to death. And yet with the longevity revolution, people could have another 25 or 35 years to go. So what are, again, we love steps and tips. What are the 3 steps people should take to begin a reinvention process?
First of all, you need to make a decision. I just talked to a guy the other day that came back from Iraq, 2 tours, totally fine. And then he jumped with a bunch of his buddies in a river in Florida, and a crocodile came up and took off his arm. Right, makes 2 trips to Iraq, and here's his arm.
Oh no! What an awful story.
But the guy was the nicest, happiest person you ever meet. And I always find people like that, and I go, "What are you doing differently up here than everybody else?" Right? And he said, "Well, Tony," I said, weren't you angry? Weren't you sad?" He goes, "I was in the hospital, and I felt like my life was over, and I was feeling sorry for myself." And he said, and I realized something. My life is over unless I decide right now to give up this story, to give up this mindset, and just decide that I'm going to make my life the richest thing it could be. I think whenever you get to a wall, you have to decide, look, I'm not going to live this way anymore. I don't care what it's going to take to change. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but this is not acceptable. You've had things in your life before 50 where you had a dream, you had a goal, something excited you. You didn't even know how to get it, but you became obsessed by it. It was a must for you. And then all of a sudden you heard conversations, you met people, things came together, and you figured out how to do it. It's the same after 50 as before 50 in that area. You just got to stop the story that says I'm 50 and it's over.
We have to stop the story. See, whatever the story is in our mind, whatever whatever it is that we tell ourselves, whatever that narration is that's going on, that's what we are going to act out. So it is in us, and it behooves us at this particular point in our lives, with whatever we venture to do, to say, this is a new day. This is a new era. This is my time to rise and shine like never before. It is my turn. I love the expressions that were given there. And so I'm going to the chat here. And so before I continue on, I want to hear from you guys, and then I have one more short clip that I'm going to show near the end. So I may have to cut someone off in order to show that, but I want to end with another clip from Tony Robbins. So let me just take this point right now to stop and hear your thoughts about what you've seen in those memes that I showed at the beginning, and as well what the Lord or may have spoken to you, or what was just in your heart. So you all take turns. And I'm gonna go back and put the first meme up because I know some of you missed it.
Okay, I guess I'll start.
There you go.
Good evening, everyone. Well, for one, I don't know, I've always thought that age is a number. I've always thought that life is living to the fullness, no matter what age you are. And I guess I got that from a previous pastor, and he said he will preach until the day he dies, and he's still doing it at the age of 81. Even though he had a stroke, he's still persevering. So I'm thankful that we don't have to look at age and think that it's never too late. It's never too late. And actually, I'm saying it's just the beginning.
There you go.
So thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you. And Lady T, if you're not able to speak, you can put it in the chat, but definitely want to hear from you. And if Miss Marty's there, put it in the chat for her as well. Miss Tanya said, Lady T said, I tend to forget that I have wisdom. I am slower than I used to be, but I can still get things done. And that's it. Think about, I want to elaborate on that a little bit, Lady Tanya. I, I, I'm I feel myself slowing down physically. Definitely when I had those health issues, it slowed me down to the pace slower than a turtle at times. But what I realized too is that when you slow down, you're able to see more. Think about when you're moving fast in the car on the highway versus slower in the car on the countryside. You get to see more, you get to take in more, you get to understand more, you get to reminisce more, you get to sum it up and calculate your next steps a little bit better because you see more, you see better. So there's a reason why in the Bible in the Old Testament it talks about young having having the vision and running, and the older having the wisdom and the learning, because those two coming together, they can run with what we see. So so yes, Lady B, thank you so much for that. Who else? Quickly, please.
I will say hi. Well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I was just reading your that message that you had,
Yes.
and I will say that for a while I had pity on myself, and I was really upset with myself because I was extremely ambitious in my 20s. My mom can tell you. I mean, straight out of college, I went right to California.
Yeah, yeah.
I was so fearless. I had in my mind that I am going to do music. I'm an entertainer. I am an actress. I am the triple threat. And I had so much confidence. Nobody could tell me nothing. I didn't care. I mean, I will work just to do auditions, or I will work just to put all my money into music, anything that dealt with entertainment. I even went back to school for dance. Like it was just, I was just so overwhelmed with confidence. And slowly but surely, I was getting around people that didn't share my ambition. And
Mm,
I noticed, of course, later on that I allowed myself to let people take that away from me by
mm,
being around, so um and approaching in my 30s and approaching in my 40s, I felt like, dang, what is my purpose? I don't know why I'm here.
mm,
Because I thought it was all about music. So I will say that meme really resonated with me, because I realized that my life don't end when I turn 38 or going into my 40s. I can reinvent my life and figure out what my true purpose is. And so that really resonated with me. I really wanted to say that. I truly appreciate. Thank you for bringing it back up, because I want to screenshot
yes, yes, yes.
it. But thank you so much, because this is just giving me confirmation that I need to keep thinking the way I've been thinking. So appreciate that.
Most definitely. Thank you so much for sharing. Who else, please, quickly? Remember, we only have a certain amount of time, so don't be shy.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Camalia.
I agree, and I'll try to be as fast as I can. I might just talk a lot, but when you're 20, you're just excited. You want to do this and do that. And when you're 40, same thing. And 50, you still feel like I could do so much. And then as you hit that 60, that 65, and I'm at the 74 mark, you kind of have pity on yourself. You're like, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? But listening to you guys for the past 2 days, especially, it makes me think you're never too old to do whatever it is. If it's something as simple like dancing or singing, let's think about the other day. I would love to sing. I wish I could sing, or get into politics. I don't know why that keeps beating in my head that I have to be a voice Like God wants to be the voice of the quiet ones. Do you understand?
Mhm.
And so I just have to find my place. So I appreciate you guys very, very much. I really do. And it's like a, and I hate to say a rude awakening, but you know what I mean by that, to get up and get to stepping. And that's what I really need to do. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Just sharing, we got to hear from you. I'm calling you out. Oh, we have Dr. J on the, all right now. Go ahead. No, Lady Sharon, go ahead. Go ahead.
Great evening, everyone. I
Good
really
evening.
didn't have anything to say. I want to ditto everybody. I'm at 66 and a half. And yeah, there are things that you dream about when you're young. And as time goes by, somehow they slip away. But there has been an awakening that we still have time to do those things as long as we're breathing in and out. We're still calling on his name. We still have his strength in our bodies. We still have his spirit on the inside of us. We're able to do the greater things. So that's all I have to say.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much. Dr. J, I know you're being the fly on the wall, but if you have something to share, we sure like to hear from you.
Well, most flies can't talk, so I want to let y'all. I do want to be just a fly on the wall, and I'm learning. I'm learning a lot. So I tell people every great coach is a great student. Now I'm going into the student mode. So please, y'all, carry on.
Appreciate you. Thank you for joining. Nadia, thank you for coming in. So I know that you're just coming in, but the theme of tonight in our last 12 minutes is beginning again. So for your benefit, Nadia, I'm going to go to the slides just so you can see them. And of course, you all share the YouTube link. I will definitely put it back up this evening. Well, you know what? No, I'm not going to go back to that. I'm going to go ahead. I was going to save this to the end, but I'm going to go ahead and show it now because there may be some other comments that I was actually going to end with it, but there may be some comments that you'd like to say once you hear this.
It's like when someone says to me, I've stopped smoking, it's been 8 days. And I say, why are you counting? So you can tell people how long you lasted this time? Like if I went to somebody and I said to you, hey, Louis, you want a cigarette? You're not going to say, what brand is it? You go, no, right. I'm not a smoker. Notice how people, I'm not one of those. That's not my identity. Identity is the strongest force in the human personality. And so that psychological difference is the number one thing I work with people on, because unless you expand your identity, you're going to basically keep where you are. You might improve a little or not. You might go up and down a bit, but you're going to stay within a realm. If you're going to have an explosive breakthrough to another level, physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, then we got to not only give you the tools, we got to shift that internal sense of who you really are and have you find that you are more than anything that's ever happened to you, that you can handle whatever shows up, even if it's incredibly scary or uncomfortable. It's like when someone says to me, I've stopped smoking, it's been 8 days. And I say, why are you counting? So you can tell people how long you lasted this time? Like if I went to somebody and I said to you, hey, Louis, you want a cigarette? You're not going to say, what brand is it? You go, no, right. I'm not a smoker. Notice how people, I'm not one of those. That's not my identity. Identity is the strongest force in the human personality. And so that psychological difference is the number one thing I work with people on, because unless you expand your identity, you're going to basically keep where you are. You might improve a little or not. You might go up and down a bit, but you're going to stay within a realm. If you're going to have an explosive breakthrough to another level, physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, then we got to not only give you the tools, we got to shift that internal sense of who you really are and have you find that you are more than anything that's ever happened to you, that you can handle whatever shows up, even if it's incredibly scary or uncomfortable.
Even if it's scary or uncomfortable. Remember last night, we mentioned that thing about in order for us to get to that next level, in order for us to become, we've got to become comfortable with the uncomfortable in order to make the calls, in order to to speak to the person in order to get over, our own self-conscious part that says, oh, I don't want to hear a no. We've got to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. I love how he talked about expanding your identity to the point of, as Sister Sharon was saying, sometimes when we get a little bit older, and even Kimberly as well, when we get a little bit older, we start, and it wasn't so much that they said this, but it's that thing of the sentiment was, we start feeling like I don't have as much purpose, when it's actually the opposite of that. Now your purpose has been expanded, but you got to figure out how it has been expanded. You have to start meditating on, who am I now and what is it that God is wanting me to do in this situation. There was something that Pastor Wilson said today that I'll probably use as I'll show tomorrow even. I know, and it goes into that. So I'm not going to go to that yet, but it's important that when we're identifying what the system is that we're going to use, that we first identified who we are. That's why it was important for you to write those 5 things down. At the end of the 7 days, I'm going to have a worksheet for you that I'll probably give to you on day 5. And on day 6 and 7, we'll kind of go through that worksheet. But hopefully you've already written those 5 things down, but this worksheet is going to take it to, take you a little bit deeper in that. But what I'm really wanting us to look at is the fact that he said, not my identity. In order for us to figure out what is not our identity, we have to establish what is. So in this state that we're in now of recreating ourselves, moving forward, as Lady B was saying, realizing that yesterday is gone, tomorrow is ahead of me, and I'm not going to retire. As her pastor decided, I will preach until I die. And she was saying he's still preaching in his 80s, even beyond a stroke. He didn't let the stroke stop him. He didn't make an excuse for it, for his identity to die, for him to become those dry bones. And if you feel as though you're dry bones, then breathe, breathe, to realize that as long as you're here, your destiny is yet being fulfilled. That's the statement that the Lord has adopted as my mantra. The Lord gave to me in 2014-15. And so that's the thing. As long as we're here, our destiny is yet being fulfilled. So we have about 6 minutes. If anyone wants to share something from what you got when in Tony Robbins' statements there concerning expanding your identity, going to that explosive breakthrough, as he explained. Anyone?
Hey, Eric. So I'll just say, even though coming in on the tail end of things, this is very powerful. Some of the things that I started jotting down literally today was things that was shared with me concerning me by mentor, by coach. And so I started writing those things, and it's just, it's so literally funny that you said about being uncomfortable. So some of the things I'll just share with you that was said to me is trust yourself. Get into a place of actually trusting who you are, and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Okay. That was something that was shared with me, and learning how to manage reactions to adversity, because other people are watching how you handle pressure. And so understanding that when you take on different roles, different challenges, get out of your way, right? Thinking that you cannot, and move forward. Don't be afraid to fail forward, And so those were some of the things that was shared to me. And you don't know what you cannot achieve until, number one, the challenge is before you. Number two, that you accept it and you move forward. That's when we understand as far as the next level and how we're growing from a growth standpoint and our identity, because we began to embrace, like you said, other things that we had not even imagined that we could possibly achieve if we did not embrace it. And so we must continue to grow. And as we grow, that identity that's within us begin to change and shape and get structured into the new person that we're coming into. We should never stay the same. We should always continue to grow. And so it's like you said, getting on the phone, making a call, you know, being in the place of just taking the action. And so once you get into it and start doing it, it's like riding a bike. Before you know it, you're going to become excellent at it, but you got to first get started.
That's all right. That's all right. Thank you so much. You got to first get started. I appreciate that illustration example you mentioned of riding the bike. I remember teaching my son. Yes, indeed, Lady B. I remember teaching my son to ride the bike, and this was just last year actually. I bought bikes for both of us, and we had it was funny because I had to remember too. It had been over a decade since I'd ridden a bike, over 2 decades. And so, but as he was doing it, the nuance of turning the handlebar, I had forgotten how tricky that is. Just the least little turn, and you're about to fall. And so I had to keep reminding them, okay, don't turn the handlebars. If you turn it just a little bit, it's going to turn, then your wheel's going to turn in on itself to you and you're going to fall. So, of course, he fell several times, but he finally got used to it, wobbled some instead of falling. And after wobbling some, having to stop, and he figured out how to catch himself so he didn't fall all the way down, or the bike didn't fall all the way over. So it was, he would be able to fall, but, land on his feet and the bike not hit the ground. And then it was a thing of, just kind of getting that steady thing and getting used to holding the handlebars so that, he wasn't turning it too much. And then all of a sudden he was riding. And so now we go riding, and it's not even something to think about. And so, of course, he's 10. So now he's wanting to do tricks. And that goes to the same thing of what Nadi was saying about, taking that action so that you're always growing and getting out of our own way. Oh my God, man. That's that one. Getting out of our own head so that we can move beyond, getting rid of part X. And on Tuesday, I believe, is when I'm going to deal a little bit with part X. And so you'll understand what that is. But getting out of our own way so that we can fail forward. And in failing forward, we reach success. Because true success, isn't going to come without some degree of failure. It's built in. And so just like getting to a point where we're comfortable with we're with the uncomfortable, comfortable with uncomfortability, it's also going to be so necessary. And you all believe me, when I'm saying this to you, I'm saying it to myself. I go back and I watch these YouTubes as well. It's going to be so important that, all right, we're 10 minutes, almost out of time. So it's going to be so important that we are at a point of saying, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay for me to fail. For me to fail doesn't mean I'm a failure. It means I'm a grower. I'm only a failure when I quit. So I'm not going to quit. I'm not giving up. Yeah. All right. Yesterday, I didn't make as many calls. Maybe I made 0 calls. Tomorrow's a new day. So I'm going to hit it. I am not who I was yesterday. When I wake up, I am born again. I am a new creature. That's the beauty of being born again. You get born again every day. Every time you open your eyes, you're born again. You're that new creature that has a new life, new existence, new trials to face, new things to overcome. You are new energies, new mercies, and new favor. So, yes, Nadia, new mercies and grace. Yes, Tanya, definitely getting out of my own way. Thank you. You're welcome. I am not a failure. I will not quit. So, and Nadia, I'm saying this because they read the chat and the replay. Charity said, well said. So, let's see, I missed something that Miss Marty said. Miss Marty said, yes, I can. Yes, ma'am. Yes, indeed, you can. Miss Marty, you are such an inspiration. So you all, I thank you. I thank you so much for jumping on, and I thank you for realizing you are a new creature. You're born again today. You'll be born again tomorrow. That's your time to rise again. That's your time to be as Lazarus and put off those dead clothes, and be anew. Start afresh. You're never too old, and you've never failed too much. Let me say that part again. You have never failed too much to succeed today and tomorrow. So, is there anything in our last 3-4 minutes that anyone would like to add before we close out? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I thank you all for joining. Invite someone for tomorrow evening, and look forward to seeing you then. God bless.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much, Eric.
You're so welcome.
Thanks, Eric.
And the YouTube will be in the Telegram link.
Good night. Have a blessed night,
everyone.
Have a blessed night.
Take care, everybody. Thank you so much.
Have a blessing as well.
God bless you all.